parents and teachers, so that people understand what's going on, where the asbestos is and how it's being managed. It's not rocket science, but it does improve transparency and accountability. So our petition is asking that that becomes the case over here as well. Parents need to know that it's there.
So you said, and how it's being managed. Adrian, how does this manifest then? So you ask, you're a parent, you have a 5 or 6 year old, a tiny person at school, at risk, and you say, is there asbestos in this school? And they say yes. And you say, well, how's this being managed? Well, we think it's safe. What do you do then?
Well, that's the problem, because you know, the HSE, Health and Safety Executive, have said that asbestos is a very low risk if it's left intact and it's undisturbed. But the issue with children, being children, very boisterous, is that you know, the buildings get knocked about, heaters get knocked, doors get slammed, and in a lot of the system-built schools that contain a great amount of asbestos, then those fibres get released every time.
In my daughter's school, when I asked them, the asbestos has been in some of the fire door panels that went into the school canteen. So every day, pretty much every child in that school will go through that door, banging the door, dragging their bags against it, scuffing it, not being naughty, just being children. And so
we have hold with us for a moment.
Yeah.
We've got a statement here.
The Department for Education has said that the health and safety of children and staff in our schools is vital. We're investing £23 billion in school buildings by 2021 to ensure asbestos is managed safely, and the amount in school buildings continues to reduce over time. Last year, a review was published and it's implementing its findings in full. It continues to work with the Health and Safety Executive to transform the way in which information is collected on asbestos to improve our understanding.
First of all, the survey that they talk about only reached responses from 25% of schools. It wasn't mandatory and it was a paper exercise. So people who legally had a responsibility to have paperwork in place were asked, do you have this paperwork in place? There was no inspections done to check that the paperwork actually stacked up with the way in which things were being managed. And like I said, only 25% of schools responded. It's a huge problem, and unless we have some accountability from parents and to parents, we're just going to be going round in circles. People have been talking about this for the last 15 years. The other thing, with that huge figure that's being spent on schools, I have put freedom of information requests through to the Department for Education and asked how much of that money is actually earmarked for asbestos, and none of it is.
Lucy, our time is up. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us this morning. Adrian, thank you as well.
And sorry for the loss of your mum as well. Thank you for coming in and talking to us. 8:28 is the time. It's time to get the news, travel and weather where you are. We'll see you shortly.
Good morning from BBC London News. I'm Alice Bandukravi. A 21-year-old man has been arrested after several fires broke out at Royal Holloway University in Surrey. Firefighters found a number of blazes in a dormitory, which were believed to have been ignited deliberately, according to Surrey Police. Students were evacuated from the Grade 1 listed campus in Egham at around 8 o'clock yesterday evening. A mother whose son died after falling from a balcony at a party attended by singer Pete Doherty says she'll never stop fighting for answers. It's almost 10 years since Mark Blanco's death at a flat in Whitechapel. A coroner ruled out suicide, but Mark's mother, Sheila, has criticised the police for failing to find out what really happened.
I will not stop until I get the answers to how Mark came to die. When he was dying, I vowed to him that I would find out what happened, and that's what I intend to do.
Do you think you can get the answers?
I don't look at it like that. I will just keep going.
Well, the Met Police says it's continuing to investigate Mark's death and it's not prepared to give a running commentary. The former Mayor Boris Johnson closed tube ticket offices before suitable alternatives had been found, according to a review commissioned by current Mayor Sadiq Khan. Mr Khan has asked Transport for London to respond to the concerns outlined in the report. Recommendations include new staffed information zones and developing ways to make it easier for passengers to buy tickets. Time for a look at the travel situation now. And this is the picture on the tube. London Overground has minor delays, but severe delays continue for services on the Piccadilly line. And on the roads in Bow, there's a lane closed on the A12 westbound at Bow Underpass. That's because of an accident. Queues are back to Leighton. Weather now with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Hello, good morning. It's a frost-free start to the day, a much milder morning today than it has been in recent days. Now, yesterday there was a lot of sunshine around, but also some periods when it was really quite cloudy. Today it's going to be cloudy for much of the day, a really very grey day. We're starting off on around 4 or 5 degrees Celsius for most of the towns. Lots of cloud, a rather gloomy feel to things this morning, with perhaps a few brighter spells here and there, but very little in the way of sunshine. Top temperatures up to 8 or 9 degrees Celsius, but of course it will stay dry. Now, as we head through into this evening and the overnight period, we're going to see a very weak cold front just pushed down from the northeast, so we might get a few outbreaks of just light rain and drizzle, nothing more than that really, and behind that the skies will clear. So up towards the northeast, maybe a few pockets of frost into tomorrow morning, maybe even a few mist patches around as well. High pressure still dominates over the weekend, so it's going to stay dry, no significant rain in the forecast at all. The wind will turn more easterly and it will push some clearer, drier air our way, so we'll start to see some sunny spells emerge again on Saturday. Lots of sunshine around on Sunday, but we're also going to see a return to those chilly, rather frosty nights.
We are back with our last bulletin just after 9. See you then. Bye-bye.
Hello, you're watching Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Manchetti.
Time now is 8:31. The main stories this morning. There's been a major upset in the Richmond by-election, with the Liberal Democrats taking the seat from the former MP, Zac Goldsmith.
Mr Goldsmith ran as an independent after he resigned from the Conservative Party in protest at the government's decision to back a third runway at Heathrow. The Lib Dem challenger, Sarah Olney, who also opposed the airport's expansion, turned the campaign into a vote against Brexit. Well, earlier, the Lib Dem leader, Tim Farron, told Breakfast that his party's stance on Brexit had paid off.
Tells you that we're back and that we're carrying the torch for all those people who think that the Conservative Brexit government have chosen a course of action, which is an extreme version of Brexit that I don't think the majority of people in this country voted for. I think it tells us that the Liberal Democrat very bold position that we've been setting out over the last few weeks, saying that the British people must have their say on the terms of the deal that we get at the end of this process, that is something that is cutting through.
Andrew Sachs, the much-loved Fawlty Towers actor who played Manuel, has died at the age of 86. He'd been suffering from dementia. Although he was an accomplished actor, he'll be best remembered for his role as a Spanish waiter in the classic sitcom. His co-star John Cleese, who played Basil Fawlty, has described him as a sweet, gentle and kind man.
Train companies have just announced how much fares are going to go up from January next year. Let's talk to Ben. He's at London's Waterloo station this morning, can tell us what exactly is happening. Morning, Ben.
Yeah, morning to you. Welcome to Waterloo, where it is the peak of the morning rush hour. Thousands of passengers come through this station every day, but they're waking up to news this morning that the cost of the ticket that they need for the train will be more expensive come January of next year. Ticket prices on average up and down the country will rise by 2.3%. Remember, that's an average for both the regulated fares, those that are set by the government, and the unregulated fares that are set by the train operating companies themselves. And if you look at the board this morning, you can see some of the trains here delayed, and that is the real issue. It's that concern over continued delays and disruption on the railways at the same time that we're being asked to pay more and more for those tickets. And also, if you're living in London, the South East, you'll know all of those problems with the Southern Rail franchise. Once again, industrial action having a big effect on journeys in London and the South East, and once again customers being asked to pay more for these services. We've been speaking to passengers this morning, and you'll be surprised because there is of course some anger that once again there's an increase in how much we're being asked to pay. But at the same time, there's an understanding that more money is needed for the railways. Here at Waterloo, they're expanding the platforms. They're making longer platforms and bringing more trains into the station. They say that on average, for every £1 that we spend on a ticket, 97 pence of that goes back directly into the railways. But of course, I think the real problem is always going to be, of course, when we get to the point of being asked to pay increasing amounts for our tickets at a time when we're feeling our income squeezed, many of us not seeing a pay rise ourselves, continued disruption on the railways, and of course some record profits for the rail companies themselves. So it's a difficult time, passengers here increasingly angry about it, but of course big questions over whether the money that we're paying is going back into the places that we need it to bring down delays and bring down disruption.
Indeed. OK, Ben, thanks very much. Very busy there at Waterloo Station.
Donald Trump has announced that he's appointing a retired General, James Mattis, as his Defence Secretary. General Mattis, nicknamed Mad Dog, is a former Marine with frontline experience in Iraq and Afghanistan, who is an outspoken critic of President Obama's foreign policy. The president-elect made the announcement at the start of a USA thank you tour for his supporters.
We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense.
French President François Hollande has said that he won't be standing for re-election next year. Faced with low popularity ratings, the president conceded that he couldn't rally a deeply divided socialist party behind his candidacy. He's become the first sitting president in modern French history not to seek re-election.
Time now is 8:36. One other story for you. A lot of so-called bucket lists tend to feature gentle romantic adventures. Swimming with dolphins is popular, isn't it? That's one of them. But ask a 12-year-old boy what he really wants to do and he'll probably tell you something like this. Blow things up.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Police in Australia helped a boy called Declan who has leukemia to fulfil his dreams. And so they worked together with one of their siege-breaking teams. So Declan was allowed to set off several explosive charges under close supervision, of course. And as well as all these, rather big explosions he was in charge of, got to ride in a very fast boat too with them all.
Who doesn't want to do that? Great fun. Let's see, 8:36 is the time now. Still to come this morning.
Sorry, the ace in the pack. I'm telling you.
He can't stay in his chair. Flamboyant, forever enthusiastic, Strictly's Bruno Tognoli joins us on the sofa, talking about Italian music. He'll be here a little later on.
And this man says you'd have to be crazy to want to be a rock star for more than 50 years, but he's kept going. This is Sir Mick Jagger. He told me why the Stones have gone back to the blues and why he hates being called an icon.
The best car chase, not involving a car, if you see what we mean. That's how Academy Award-winning composer Hans Zimmer's described this incredible footage from Planet Earth 2. We'll be speaking to him in a few minutes' time.
Do you know, how many nature programmes have you ever heard of in recent years going viral? Because that iguana chase did.
Absolutely extraordinary.
Didn't it, Mike?
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
And the music is sharing it. It's wonderful.
The images are obviously the most important thing, but then the music it completely adds to the moment,
one of
doesn't
those
it?
jaw-dropping moments of the year for me on TV.
Yeah.
The story, the narrative,
of
the thing
Planet
escapes,
Earth.
the lizard escapes, and finally gets there. Think it's all over.
How are you going to make this link?
From iguana.
Well,
Well,
I can
look at the
to
wildlife.
Iguana, but maybe to Mick Jagger, longevity.
Oh, yeah.
Tiger
Yeah.
Woods.
Go on, then.
And just imagine you're maybe ranked 300 in the world and you're going to have a round with the world number 897. And you think, I'll be some amateur. Then you see the name. T. Woods? But he's on his way back. Whether he can win another major remains to be seen. But he showed glimpses, you know, as he made a competitive round in 16 months, a first competitive round in 16 months at an event in the Bahamas. And Tiger Woods, well, he had a mixed time of it, but for a while it looked like we had the old Tiger back as he made birdie after birdie to get a share of the lead. And he is ranked at the moment 898, I think it is, or 897, because he's been out for so long with back surgeries. He ran into problems, dropping shots over the final holes of the round, including a trip into the water there. He finished 1 over par, 9 strokes off the pace. Now, a minute's silence will be held before every Premier League match this weekend in memory of the Chapecoense players and staff who died in the plane crash in Colombia on Monday. Thousands of fans gathered yesterday at Chapecoense's home ground in Brazil to pay tribute to the 19 players and coaching staff who were among those who died in the crash. Football's governing body FIFA has asked that all players wear black armbands this weekend as well as a mark of remembrance. Now, the off-the-field behaviour of England's footballers is something that the new permanent manager Gareth Southgate will be addressing. The way players unwind has long been a talking point in football, and Southgate says while there is a time to unwind with a glass of wine or a beer, it has to be at the appropriate moment and at the right level that it won't inhibit performance. And he believes the players have to take personal responsibility.
Being an England player comes with additional responsibility to being a player that plays club football, but I don't think laying down the law is necessary. I like to treat players with respect, treat them as adults. There's got to be trust, but also important the players to take some leadership in that. And if we're going to have a top team, then I want them involved in that. And I'm sure our ideas will align as we move forward.
Meanwhile, England's rugby union team meet Australia at Twickenham even, in the final test match of the Autumn International Series. Head coach Eddie Jones and his Australian counterpart Michael Cheika have clashed over Jones's criticism of his native Australian team. Now, a win for England over Australia would equal their longest winning run of 14 matches, which was set across 2002 and 2003 when they won the World Cup under Sir Clive Woodward. And something has really got Sir Clive Woodward's goat in the papers this morning. It might have got yours as well. So you're at a match, you're watching a top game, and in front of you, it's like musical chairs, Jack in the Boxes, up and down, out of their seats, going to get another drink,
You
a
mean
hot dog.
during the match?
Or toilet. Yes, during the game.
Okay.
See, fans can have a drink beforehand and afterwards, but during the match, I mean, I have noticed it at games, that people are up and down out of their seats, going to the toilet, getting another drink, getting a hot dog all the time. So Sir Clive Woodward says, just sit down and watch the match. He's even advocating, I don't know what you think about this, shutting the bars maybe 10 to 15 minutes before the match and not opening them again until the final whistle.
He's not objecting to them going to the toilet, though, is he?
No, but I suppose the more you have to drink during the game, the more you'll need to go to the loo.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
compares it to musical chairs during games.
Yes.
So
I mean, I suppose the solution really is to make the game so compelling that no one wants to leave their seat.
Well, it's getting more like the American matches, isn't it? And also people taking everything on their mobile phones.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Rather than just watching it and experiencing it.
Enjoy the
That's
moment.
another issue altogether, isn't it?
And make some noise.
If you're going this weekend, heed the warning. Don't have too much to drink.
No hot dogs, no toilet,
Yeah.
no toilet break.
During the match,
And no drinks.
no drinks.
Yeah.
Just sit and watch and
We'll
be
be watching
quiet.
you, Charlie.
You're not
very
there to
much,
have fun. Time now is 18. Thanks so much. Time now is 18 minutes to 9. Now, he's used to composing scores for big Hollywood movies, from Gladiator to Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, Academy Award winner Hans Zimmer has turned his talents to work on a natural blockbuster, Planet Earth 2.
So the nature series, presented, of course, by David Attenborough, is drawing in millions of viewers every week. And for many people, the evocative soundtrack perfectly captures the beauty, drama, and, of course, the tension in the animal kingdom. Let's have a listen.
Mesmerising, absolutely mesmerising. Hans Zimmer joins us now from Los Angeles. Thank you so much for talking to us on BBC Breakfast, Hans Zimmer. It's good to have you with us. Shall we start with that amazing car chase that isn't a car chase but has actually probably as much drama as any good car chase I've seen in the films? How did you approach that?
Just like a car chase. I mean, I actually did think it was one of the greatest action sequences ever filmed. And so the whole, I mean, we treated the whole of Planet Earth really as an amazing drama, as opposed to a documentary. It isn't. It is this amazing drama.
And
so
felt
very natural to do it this way.
And absolutely, but so different, I suppose, or is it so different from seeing human beings act and kind of work in between dialogue or facial expressions, where you're working with animals that there's no storyline almost.
Well, there is no storyline, and at the same time, of course, there is that thing that I think we are managing to get across, which is to somehow illuminate what our place on this planet is amongst these animals, that we are just part of this, you know, this small planet Earth. And so it seemed really important to actually just treat the whole thing as, I mean, how can you not see drama in a scene like this? And, you know, as you watch the other scenes, you see that there's love, they're all the epic things that make a great drama in this program.
And Hans, tell us a little bit more about specifically when you're looking at animals. Do you instinctively know when you see a certain animal appear in the footage that you first see? Are there instantly certain instruments or kind of sounds that you, I don't know, out of instinct, seem appropriate to the animal?
No, not really. I mean, what you're trying to do is you're looking at the footage, and then you're trying to sort of, you're supposed to use your imagination. I mean, there's nothing which is, that you know, we do try to be a little bit tribal or a little bit foreign and use interesting instruments and change the colors and help propel you into this sort of world that maybe sometimes the images and the words aren't enough and the music can just add that extra bit of drama and exoticism. And so anything goes, really.
It's been very interesting seeing just how popular Planet Earth 2 has been in terms of how many young people are watching now. So David Attenborough has commented on just how pleased he is with that. We're just going to remind our viewers of some of the drama that the music is adding to the footage. We're going to take a look at a glass frog protecting its spawn from wasps, and then we're going to talk to you about how you thought about putting this bit of music together. Dramatic, do you? Because these pictures are so amazing. The footage is so fantastic.
Exactly, and so, you know, you let the picture speak, and you let the picture speak to you, and you just try to walk along this fine line of sort of over-dramatizing it, and at the same time, all you're really doing is you're really trying to open doors with the music and letting the audience in, and letting the audience experience what is going on in this truly incredible footage.
So we're going to have another look now at one of the other projects you're involved in, which is the film Gladiator. So let's have a listen now. Hans, we're just hearing that. I'm not sure, you probably can't hear there. We're hearing just that closing sequence there. Very kind of haunting sort of sound, that one.
I heard it, yeah. Well, again, you know, the great thing about my job is I can immerse myself in all these different worlds and just invent. I mean, that's really what people ask me to do. I mean, this was Ridley Scott saying, you know, how are we going to go and make an emotional scene in Rome, and of course it's not Roman music, it's an invention, and getting Lisa Gerrard to become this voice was fantastic. I mean, this is the sort of constant thing that I'm involved in.